10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence has started. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You have entered Untold Radio AM. And now broadcasting from a secret location, your hosts, Joel Sturgis and Doug Hychak. Just right along with Mr. Doug Hychak. How you doing, Doug?
Good. You actually beat the
I did. I noticed that too.
Start over, Joel. Start over.
And welcome to Untold Radio AM, everybody. And I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Doug Hychak. Hey, this is our first broadcast where everyone sees us, Doug.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you look great. Me, not so much. I look like
looking
I'm in
a little
cave.
bright. Well, we'll get you tweaked first night.
Yeah, we'll get it tweaked out. But it's really, really cool. So what are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Me and Blaine were working on a UTV, side by side tonight.
Yeah.
I bought one finally.
Oh, did you?
And I ended up getting my finger. Well, I was putting a battery tender in, the cord.
Yep.
And I took the big battery cover off.
Sure.
And it was really hard to get it out. It's a long story. But anyhow, so I had my fingers on the fender. And then I was pushing with all my might on the other way. And then the fender snapped shut, snapped my fingers between the battery box and the fender. And of course, when a crocodile or an alligator bites your hand, you're going to pull out, right? First instinct.
Generally, yeah.
Well, I pulled out so hard, I shot blood out of the end of two fingers.
What?
That was weird.
Man,
not a scratch on my fingers, but blood shot out the cuticle.
Wow.
So my fingers are...
That's not good at all. I know that can happen. I bought a four-wheeler myself, a brand new one as well, ATV.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just a normal.
Enough of that, but it's just been a weird day.
Okay, before you go though, what kind of UTV? Before you can leave the subject.
I'm not telling, because then there's brand haters out there. No way. No matter what I say, you're screwed.
Brand haters. You brand haters.
Yeah, because look, if I say I got a Polaris, all the Arctic Cat people hate me. If I say I got Arctic Cat, all the Polaris
or CF Moto.
Or CF Moto, and then all the whatever. Everybody hates you.
I hear you. You can't win, Doug. You can't win.
No, people are really loyal with ATV brands.
There is brand loyalty there, isn't there?
Yep, there
really
is.
I'm glad you got one, though.
Yeah,
no matter what the brand is, I'm glad you got one.
I've been looking at them for
30 years.
10 years, at least 10.
Yeah.
Really interested. But man, they are not cheap.
They are not cheap. About 27 grand, 30 grand for some of them. So
what I did, Joe, I bought a 50-inch wide one.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, you can ride them on the ATV trails. Yep. You can ride them on the UTV trails.
Sure.
So it's kind of cool, and it wasn't all that bad.
Nah, good. I'm glad you got one because you'll like it a whole lot better than an ATV.
Yeah.
At your age.
Oh, shut up.
The joke amongst ATVers is you age into a UTV.
No, I love being on the ATV. I don't need the UTV. I just thought it'd be nice to be able to bring my daughter.
I hear you, man. It's okay. It's all good, man. It's all good.
Do I really want my son riding behind me, holding my waist? No. But do I mind him sitting next to me? No, it's no problem. See.
Yep. No, I hear you. I hear you.
Aesthetics. A matter of aesthetics.
Right. No, I'm right there with you. It's just me and the wife, so I don't mind the ATV right now. So, I might graduate into a UTV one of these days, but until then, I know we have a lot of motorsports enthusiasts that listen to the show.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. And tell us your ride, man. What do you guys got out there? We'd like to hear what you guys are doing. And hey, did you hear the news? I don't know. Are you guys getting hit like we are with the sno? By the way, I just want to throw that out there. The snowstorm.
Oh.
You ever heard about Snowmageddon?
I'm not worried about it. It's over. It's over. No matter what we get, it'll melt in a day or two.
That's true.
That is true. Don't worry about it.
So anyone that's listening,
March,
be careful.
March is the snowiest day of the month, or snowiest month of the entire year.
I believe it. I know it. Yeah. Yeah. So
So
what else, man?
okay, so I'm trying to think. I just had a weird week. Yvette went shopping, brought back some oranges on like Monday or maybe it was Sunday, and I tried one, and it tasted like toxic poison. Oranges are
Gosh,
usually really sweet.
we gotta stop getting your oranges from Russia.
No.
That's your
These
first
I
thing.
think they were Chernobyl oranges. Okay, but I thought, oh, maybe they're not ripe, right? They look ripe, but maybe not. So I put them in a plate in the sun, and they
Yeah.
started growing these like Seattle towers out of them.
What is wrong with your oranges?
They're like alien oranges. I
They're
swear.
like mutant oranges.
I could go
Where are
get
you
one and
getting
show
these things from?
I don't know, but I think what's going on is they can't get the stuff at the grocery
So
store.
they're growing in a lab?
They're buying them from, Vladimir. Who knows?
Paco down at the docks? I mean, where
I don't
are they getting
know.
these things from?
Oh my! But I've never had a bad orange in my life.
Well,
He's
today you
he's
have.
actually, and I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. They tasted like they were grown over a toxic waste dump, and inside the orange was full of poison.
That sounds really appetizing. I'm glad you're bringing that up.
Mm.
Toxic waste dumps, bad oranges.
Smash fingers. What else?
What else can you suffer through? My God! First you get beat up by your UTV, and then you eat toxic oranges.
Yeah, no,
Life is not good for dogs.
crazy. But anyhow, but I mean it. When I say these things, they look like little Seattle towers growing out of them.
Interesting.
What the heck is that?
Did you feel like having a cup of coffee?
No, not
Seattle towers. Yeah.
I'm back drinking the coffee. But speaking of Seattle, I saw a really amazing documentary. I started watching at like 5 a.m, like a dork. So I'm just flipping through Netflix. All of a sudden, this documentary catches my eye, and it is called Downfall. But it's a documentary, and it's called The Case Against Boeing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'll just check it out, and then it'll be paused for tomorrow or whenever. No, that didn't happen. So 5 a.m, I start getting really involved in this doc. And the reason I was really into it because it starts out with a really amazing reenactment of a plane crash full of passenger jet.
Sure.
Full of people. And we all fly a lot. I mean, everybody flies in this country. It's common. And so you pay attention because like, well, why did that one go down? And so anyhow, it goes down. They don't know what happened. And they realized after they get the black box that there was a sensor called, I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's MCAS system that's on the plane.
I remember. Now that you bring that up.
Okay, but just hang on.
Yeah, I'm hanging here.
Okay, but there were 5,000 jets grounded because of this sensor. But the problem was nobody knew what the deal was. Nobody knew what caused that plane to go down. But then another one, like a month later, went down. First one went down in Indonesia. Second one went down in Ethiopia, right? Both of them killed about 150 people or, more than that. In the one in Ethiopia, there was like a crater. That plane hit like straight.
Oh, it smashed. Yeah.
Like 500 miles an hour. Oh, yeah. But everybody remembers about 2020, all these, or 2018, all these planes were grounded. But I don't ever remember hearing what they found or how they fixed them.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Okay.
I do remember hearing something about the sensor you're talking about.
Right.
And that was causing them to more or less just fall out of the sky. Pretty
much, because they found out basically what had happened. I'll try to speed this up. Boeing never put that this system, this MCAS system, which really was to keep the plane from angling up too high. The reason it would angle up too high is because although it was just a standard 737, but it was called the 737 MAX 8 and 9, it was more fuel efficient. What they did is they reacted to Airbus in Europe, their biggest competitor, coming out with this really efficient jet. And they were just kind of caught with their pants down, like, oh my God, we don't have a fuel efficient jet. So they had this idea to take the standard 40-year-old 737, they've been flying forever,
Yep.
and just retrofit it with bigger engines, but they were more fuel efficient.
Yeah.
But in order to retrofit these bigger engines, they had to move them up higher, and then they had to, I think, move them back, which caused the nose to sometimes go up. So then they thought, oh, we'll add a sensor to the tail section that then levels it out.
Yeah.
They didn't put it in the manual.
Yeah. That was the thing. It was never in the manual, so the pilots had no idea.
They had no idea it was there.
Yeah, that the sensor was even on board.
Right,
Or
exactly.
even had to work around it.
Yep. And then so the sensor failed, and it would only, but they could override this. They could override the sensor. There was a button, 2 buttons, or whatever. They could override it, but they didn't know it was even there.
Yeah, because none of the pilots, if I remember correctly, now that you're mentioning it, were never officially trained in at all on this new piece of
no, because
hardware.
that was part of it. Because the training costs so much money, Joel.
Yeah, that's it too. They'd have to retrain, which is insanity because I get it. It's all about the almighty dollar at the end of the day. But don't you think it costs you a whole lot more money if you're falling out of the sky?
Well, yeah, obviously it did. Well, but here's the story. Okay, so they ended up only putting one sensor on.
Yeah.
And as everybody knows, there's redundancy on every critical system.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, for instance, even the Corvette they used a lot of the wiring harnesses from like the Learjet, but it had redundancy in the Corvette. For any wire would fail, there was another one that just
it would kick in seamlessly.
Right. And that's the way normal airplanes are because of safety. You got to have the redundancy. Well, it took them forever to figure out there was no redundancy on the sensor. And then when they finally did, it all kind of unraveled. Boeing ended up paying a $2.5 billion fine. Whoa.
Well, you think their R&D would have caught that, the research development people?
No, they did. They did catch it. There were employees that had suggested that we need to get this in the manual, that we have this new system, and I think there were probably engineers that wanted 2 sensors on, but it went, apparently it went ignored. And then it took, I think, numerous months for the FAA to get, to get all the emails and the correspondence and documentation to find out that they had purposely not wanted to kind of basically downplay those.
They really did. They did downplay it. In fact, they almost tried to flat out deny it at one point.
But I do recommend the doc. I mean, I'm still not really even giving away the spoilers.
Yeah.
But it's just a real riveting doc. I stayed up then like a dork from 5 a.m, even further. And I had to get up early. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to get up early. Because me and Blaine had to get together to do a bunch of design stuff. So so I'm like, dizzy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's really fascinating though. I might have to check that out myself.
It is, yeah. And it's called Downfall and it's on Netflix.
Yeah, have to check that out. Hey, we've got a great guest on tap tonight for everybody. We have Jay Vernon. He's coming on the show. He's an author. And he is going to be coming on to talk about his encounters with Bigfoot, mainly in central Wisconsin. Adams County Bigfoot. That's what the book's called. So you want to check that out. It's going to be great. We're going to be talking about that more. Adams County Bigfoot, friend or beast?
Yeah, in fact, Jay is in the backstage trying to work out a mic issue.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get that dealt with, which we will.
Yeah.
We got Alex working on it. We got him on the case. It'll be just fine.
Yeah. So what we're doing, we really need everybody to subscribe because we're kind of up in our game. We're not only doing the podcast, which will be a normal podcast, but we're doing this live radio show or this live YouTube show, which takes more effort, more money. We have to have another person on staff. Alex is engineering. It takes a lot of his time. I mean, we've spent just today on this thing, we've spent over like $1,500 in cash just today in our studios, upgrading equipment, doing blah, 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 blah. I can go on and on. So please subscribe and it helps us.
Check us out. Go to untoldradioam.com. You also can catch us on YouTube, anywhere, but just subscribe, be a part of it. I guarantee you're going to love it.
Oh my God. So we were talking about this airport thing, right? Or this plane problem. but it reminded me of a story I know I haven't told about what happened to me and Joe
What happened
on
to
a,
you,
on a
Joe?
plane. Okay, so we were going to go to Canada on a fishing trip with
There
Ron
you
Shera,
were.
with Ron Shera, and I was shooting a demo, and we were going up to actually first time to Snellgrove, first time. Everything went wrong in this trip, so we're driving to the No County Airport. The sky is black to the north, right? As black as black paper. So I said to Joe, I said, wouldn't it be weird? Because we were almost to the airport. If I turned the radio on because it was off and the song, the Buddy Holly song comes on, that'll be the day when I die. Swear to God, I flipped it on live and it was on.
Why? Oh, why would you
Flipped it on.
tempt yourself
Oh my
fate like
God.
that?
Joe turned white, as I kind of did, because I was like, oh my God. So we get to the airport, we're freaked out, we're kind of white, and we get there and Larson's working on the plane, like he's duct taping some wires on the, oh my God. And we're just like, so we got a storm coming, we're duct taping wires, and we get in, so we get our gear in, and I had planned this prank on Joe. Like I planned this for 2 days. So I made him wear this blow up vest, one of these that you can pull a ripcord.
Yeah.
And they poof and they blow up. It's got a CO2 cartridge in it.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah, those safety vests. So if you hit the
Vest,
water,
yeah. So I had
it
Joe wear
automatically
one,
deploys.
and of course I wore mine
Yeah.
deflated, which is it's a good idea when you're flying over all these lakes and whatnot. Anyhow, but my prank was to tell Joe to rip it open, that we were going to crash. And I figured usually I've flown with this pilot before. He usually gets into a stall warning at some point.
Yeah.
Usually.
So that's normal for him.
Well, I'm just used to it.
To have one moment of, oh my God, it's
Well,
normal.
usually he gets into a stall situation at some point.
Oh, gee, that's really great, Doug. I mean,
Okay.
I definitely want to fly with
So I'm just thinking, as soon as the guy gets into a stall situation, I'm going to tell Joe, we're going down, and I had explained to Joe, you only have like 2 seconds to pull the. So anyhow, so now we're in the storm. Now it's real, kind of real. And all of a sudden the plane it goes into a stall warning, and literally it dropped from the sky.
Just
we dropped
is what you're
we
saying.
dropped
It just
probably
boom, belly flopped.
We dropped 600 feet instantly.
Jeez.
And of course, I don't forget my practical joke. I go, Joe, pull your vest.
Pull your ripcord, Joe.
And of course he does. He rips it open. Because we're not even over water. We're over the forest, right? He rips it open, and all of a sudden the plane literally just goes kaboom on the ground. And I'm like, what the frick? And apparently, I could see the ceiling getting lower and lower and lower.
Yeah.
Apparently Ron and John were talking back and forth. They needed to make an emergency landing and didn't want to freak us out. So he saw a little open patch, and he went into I can't remember the name for it. He got some kind of a stall. He went into the stall and just dropped it in that hole.
Without telling you guys, though.
No, we didn't know.
Not even giving you guys an inclination. Hey, by the way,
yeah, of course.
Just to let you two know back there.
No.
We're doing this emergency landing. Do not be alarmed.
Right.
Instead of saying that at all, you guys are going into oh my God moment. You're getting ready to go meet your maker kind of feeling.
Well, no, but you got to realize, Joel, he saw this out of the corner of his eye and made a snap decision to drop it in that hole, because we either had to go up and pass through the clouds, and we were flying visual flight rules only. And
you're dead reckoning at that point. You were not using instrumentation. You were flying by eyesight.
Yep. And so what happens if you pass through the clouds? One, you've broken the law.
Well,
two, how do you get back down again?
Yeah.
Because you don't know where the ground is, really.
Not at that point, no.
Because then you have to trust your instruments. Well, my God, I think that the water was drained out of the gauge, the altimeter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think it had any water in it. Okay. So there you go. There's my story. But bottom, okay, then it did get worse. So we get to Snell, and Ron's he's not looking good. And all of a sudden we were out fishing, and I got Ron stand-up stun right away, for the TV thing. And I got all stand-up stun. And then we were out doing our normal thing. Me and Joe were fishing with the camp owner. And Ron was with the other guy, the pilot, and all of a sudden the pilot found us. And he goes, I got to get Ron to the hospital now. You know, we have to leave now.
Yeah.
We had gotten to Snell on another small aircraft. And so they just took off with the pilot, Ron, and John. They just left us there. We had no idea. Are they ever even coming back?
Yeah.
And when?
Yeah.
Coming back in 3 days, 2 days, 5 days, 2 weeks? We had no idea.
It'd find you and be like Lord of the Flies.
And it got real quiet when that plane took off, and it was just me and Joe.
I bet.
But listen to this. We had no idea where we were in the Canadian wilderness. None. We you don't pay attention when you're with a guide.
Well, no, because it's their job.
Yeah, I didn't pay it. We didn't have any idea even where we were.
Yeah.
But we finally found our way back to the cabin before dark.
Yeah.
And that started a very quiet weekend.
I bet it was.
Mhm.
Wow. Talking about just an event getting there.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's my story. What time is it? We got 6 minutes.
We got 6 minutes left. Doc.
Yeah, that's a true story, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was going to mention to you and to everybody who uses Facebook Marketplace. Do you ever gone on Facebook Marketplace?
I have, but I don't buy anything off Marketplace.
Well, okay. Well, good.
I look for vehicles once in a while
Okay,
and
well, you
TVs,
look.
stuff like that,
Well,
but I never buy anything.
there is a kind of a rash I'm seeing of somebody. Okay, they'll list, like, let's say it's a side-by-side ATV.
Sure.
Okay, they'll list it. It'll be like, 2012 side-by-side. They'll show a picture. It's just perfect. $1,000 with trailer.
Yeah.
And
But
you know,
anyone that falls for
Of
that,
course.
But
here's what they're doing. So if you go and click their the seller and then scroll down, it'll show you they've listed that same listing in every state in the union.
Yep.
Some of them have up to 100.
Yeah. Same thing with eBay Motors. Be careful because
Yep,
they've
same
done
thing.
that same thing. So watch out, folks.
But what they do is the people, they get gullible thinking, oh my God, I found this great deal.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, give me your credit card number to hold it.
Yep. And we need $500 down. What's your credit card number?
Yep, and that's how it
Yeah,
works.
and that's how they get you. Yeah, I've heard.
Gotta have it today. There's another guy coming over to look at it.
Yeah.
But
I've heard
there's
lots of stories of people.
Tons of them on Facebook right now. Like,
buyer beware. Be
Be
careful,
beware.
guys. Well, it's tax season. That's why. People are getting a lot of people are getting tax returns.
tax refunds.
And so usually about this time of year they start kicking up even worse.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
So yeah, be careful out there, folks. Be careful what you're buying on the old Facebooks.
Can you tell I'm operating on no sleep?
I can. Well, you never sleep. I'm getting
No.
texts from you at 2 a.m.
Yeah, but
You're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm sleeping. Why are you sleeping?
But I usually don't start watching films at 5 a.m, dude.
No, generally, no, you don't.
After I worked all day.
Yeah.
And I had to get up and go to work again.
I'll ask you, how much sleep did you get? You'll say, 2 hours.
Oh yeah, I'm just like But by Wednesday, if I do that all week, and I did it all weekend, I'm kind of.
Well, I've done that too, but then at the end of the week, I crash.
I'm wired.
If I don't get a lot of sleep, like if I push myself like that, by the end of the week, I'll sleep forever. It seems.
Okay, well, let's see. I'm going to check and see.
Oh, hey, did you not to bring up current events, but have you been watching what's going on overseas at all?
Of course. And
the coolest thing I saw, that guy really impressed me. That president, he says, hey, they offered him a ride out of the country. The president of Ukraine. Yeah. He says, I don't need a ride. I need more bullets.
I know.
That was, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I got hats off to him. If I was wearing a hat, I'd be taken off to the guy.
Well, look, there's two stories to this whole Ukrainian thing. And I'm happy I know a lot about it because I happen to have many Ukrainian friends.
Yeah.
And and they're very divided on what's going on.
Sure.
Some of them are so happy that Putin invaded. Some are extremely disgusted.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because they each have their own story and they each have their own side and very valid arguments.
Sure. Because of course the media, the mainstream, never gives you the full picture.
No.
It's always a spin. It's never right down the middle. This is what's going on.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So I did hear from people that are from there, that live there, that like you said, it's a mixed bag. Some love it, some hate it.
Yep.
You know, so yeah. So anyhow, we're talking Bigfoot tonight, Wisconsin Bigfoot. We have talked about Wisconsin Bigfoot in the past, but this is gonna be really, really cool. Get Jay Vernon on the show.
Well, we're
And
going
as I
to have
said,
Bigfoot guests on all month.
is this the Bigfoot month? Are
Yes.
we Bigfooting out this month?
Yeah, we're Bigfoot.
That's cool.
The
I
whole
can
month.
handle that.
Yeah.
I could definitely handle that. A little Bigfoot. So anyhow, in central Wisconsin. Again, the book, if you want to look it up even before we get going here. It's the Adams County Bigfoot. Okay, that's what's called, Friend or Beast. So check that out. I know it's for sale, or is it for sale yet, Doug?
Yes. Yep. It's
Okay, I want to
available on
make sure
Amazon.
because I did say that not too
Yep.
long. Hey, go buy it.
Yeah, I
Guys,
believe
it's not out yet.
the print copy's out, the ebook's out, and the audiobook will be
Okay.
out at some point.
Making sure, because I know a lot of times we're privy to information not everybody else is, and I forget that sometimes getting the guest on. But yeah, check that out. So he's coming on here. Oh, and what, in about a minute?
Hopefully. As I said, I have not heard
Should
back.
I knock on wood?
Yeah, let's knock on wood.
There, look at that. Oh, a reverb though. I knocked on wood first, though. We will see. Oh, here we go. That's probably better right there. There we go. Yeah.
So we'll see. I haven't heard word whether Jay's back in the backstage area or not.
Yeah. He should be coming on any minute now.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyhow, I took the wife over to go see that movie, the Uncharted movie.
Uncharted.
Has Tom Holland in it. The
Don't
kid
know
that
who
plays Spider-Man.
I have no idea. I've never.
What?
I
What, you
wouldn't see
living
a
under a
Spider-Man
rock?
movie. Joel, if you paid me $100 bill to go watch Spider-Man, I would say, keep your money, dude.
You're horrible.
If it has the Marvel name on it, I'm running the other direction.
What?
Oh my God. It's no
It
story.
doesn't, well, anyhow, this movie does not have the Marvel name on it.
Look, I'm into storytelling. You have to have a story that actually holds together, has a reason to watch it. I need to learn something from it. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. And Marvel is a waste of time. Totally for me.
Damn. You're a very deprived
I'm deprived,
person.
yeah. I mean, I'll watch a movie for entertainment, but generally one that can still.
So this movie is not a Marvel movie.
Okay.
This movie is more in line with an Indiana Jones feel, where there is a story.
Hey guys, can you hear
treasure
me?
hunting.
Yes, we can hear you, Alex. Hold
Okay.
on.
Well, 1 second. I'm gonna try something. We're having some technical difficulties here.
Yeah.
Jay, you want to talk?
Sure.
There we go.
Hey, we got him.
Okay.
All right. You guys can hear me good?
We hear you, but we don't see you.
How about now?
Good. Joel, why don't you tell people who Jay is? And
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Let me go ahead and open up your bio, Jay. Jay Vernon grew up on a rural farm in central Wisconsin in the late 1960s to the mid 80s. From there, he'd experienced many strange things and unusual things throughout the years. Unforgettable sightings as a teenager in the deep woods where he spent much of his time. He was always conscious and curious about what was around him. But he knew that there were dangerous animals in the woods of Adams County, but not just any Bigfoot. So anyhow, that is really, and he wrote the book, like I've said a couple times, Adams County Bigfoot, Friend or Beast. Welcome to the show, Jay Vernon.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, really, really happy to have you on the show.
so what we've done with Jay is patch him in. You wouldn't even believe what we've done. Patched him in through speakerphone to Alex and then into a mic on Alex's end.
Yep.
There could be a delay, so be ready for that, folks, and some of the answers and questions, just because we're going through that intermediary of that speakerphone, so it's not uncommon to get a little bit of a delay. But Jay, tell us a little bit about yourself beyond that. I mean, what got your interest in Bigfoot? Did you see one?
Well, you have to buy the book, so we're going to leave it. No.
There you go.
A little bit of a story that my background goes all the way back to when I was a child. Our family had moved up to the farm up by Briggsville. And Briggsville was a very small, unincorporated town. unincorporated, meaning there really wasn't more than like 350, 400 people in the area. And pretty remote, a lot of woods, a lot of farming going on, etc. So what we ended up having was, a nice farm with, some woods, cornfields, alfalfa, things like that. And the time when I was up there started at about almost 3 years old, late that fall. And it was more of a time where I didn't know what was going on. And, we had horses and cows and all kinds of things that we kind of inherited on the farm. We had pigs and gradually worked our way up to like having turkeys and chickens and ducks and first dogs and cats and all.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as my first instance where I saw something was right before I was 3 years old. I just remember loving the horses, and they had a pen in the back area. And where the back area was, it was facing up towards the woods. And the woods would end up having a corner where our fence line and our neighbor's fence line was. And all of a sudden I hear this kind of and I, what that was? I looked in the direction. I didn't see anything right away. And then the horses started to freak out. And, they're getting all, whinnying and jumping around and stuff in their pen. And all of a sudden I looked again and I saw something walk across between some trees, and it kind of looked back at me, but just kept walking. The sun, it was late in the evening, so the sun was kind of orange glow. And it was, hard to see anything, but you could see the figure, and it was really tall. And I thought it was a person wearing a cowboy hat because it was so weird shaped with its head. It looked like somebody wearing a dark clothing, a dark coat.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in and told my dad, and I said, I think there's a neighbor over by the woods over there. And he said, oh, that's a check and see. Maybe he's checking his fences, whatever. But the horses were going crazy. So the next day we went in and down in Brickville there and saw there was, we ran into our neighbor, and my dad asked him, were you up in the woods yesterday late night? And he goes, no, I haven't been out to the farm in the last week or two. So we don't know what that was. My mom kind of made a joke out of all the first instances throughout my childhood that this might have been like a hermit, somebody living up in the woods.
Sure.
And, either on our property or on our neighbor's property. So that was the first instance.
Yeah. It sounds like one of many.
Oh, yeah. And, I kind of described it in my book. It's, like I said, throughout most of my life until I was like almost 17 years old, I just thought it was people. I had two older brothers that liked to pick on me, of course. And, I was, 4 years younger than my second older brother, and then, like 6 years younger than my oldest brother. So it was kind of those two were together, and I was kind of the next in line, but they didn't want me tagging along and all. So I thought many of these instances where I heard something going on in the woods, that it was them, like throwing rocks at me and playing games and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Doing what kids would do,
I
yeah.
thought it was them. Yeah, exactly.
What did your parents say about it? Did you ever talk to them? I mean, obviously, you kind of mentioned your mom, but were they aware of?
They weren't aware of what this was until when I actually saw it when I was almost 17 years old, right before I turned 17. And I accidentally saw it. And I don't think people would go in the woods and actually go looking for Bigfoot, because as humans, we're pretty loud and, we're really not quiet. And, of course, I'm sure we have a smell, and this is their habitat. But I feel like there was, an accident that I rode up on top of this Bigfoot and within 20 feet. And that's, like I said, the whole time up until then, I thought it was people, neighbors, people trespassing on the property, maybe, hunting, things like that.
Sure. Well, you wouldn't have any other reason to even probably at that point think Bigfoot.
Right. I wasn't looking for it and wasn't thinking it was something like that. I've always been a see believe,
Yeah.
If I won't see it, I don't believe it. So, but, some of the instances where, I heard one of my favorite things that I wrote about in the book was that there was a time where I had been working up in the woods early in the morning. So I had a truck up there with a trailer, and I was cutting down a bunch of trees. And I used to cut down dead trees and things like that. And I was called down for lunch. And usually they gave us about an hour and a half breaks for lunch. And yeah, this is my family. And my family was, we had the farm, but we also had the upholstery shop where we did furniture and auto upholstery. So I was kind of the brother that did all the, outside stuff, took care of the animals, and then also, took care of all the wood burning that we needed. So, but after about an hour and a half, I had lunch, relaxed, and then went back up in the woods. And I walked up to the truck, and then all of a sudden I heard to my right, I heard this garble and loud and clear. It was kind of like a and I went, okay, what was that? And then to my left, I heard it was in a higher pitch. And I looked up and I looked across the back of the truck, and I could see a big buck standing probably 75 yards away from me in a clearing across from our woods into our neighbor's woods. And all of a sudden I thought, well, maybe our neighbors are hunting, but it wasn't even bow season yet. So, it was still summertime. And I heard the to the right again. And then I heard a to the left again. It was two different distinct areas, loud and clear, but I could literally, hear them plenty, but I couldn't understand them. So I thought, well, maybe they're going to get this deer or something. And so after a couple minutes, I started just going about my business, picked up a log, and I looked up and the deer was gone. So I thought, well, maybe I'm going to yell out and say, hey, I'm up here. I didn't want to get shot or, especially if it was hunters that don't belong up there. And I yelled out and I said, hey, are you guys up here to my neighbors? And they didn't hear anything. I yelled loud. They would have heard me if they were as loud as what I was hearing from the garbled voices before. And I yelled again, nothing. I yelled again. I'm like, okay, whatever. I just went back about, my business of cutting wood and throwing it in there and stuff. So at that point, I didn't know what it was. I just assumed. The next day, I go down to my neighbor's house, and I said, he was coming out of the milk barn, and I said, hey, were you guys up in the woods behind our woods? He goes, yeah, we don't go that far back anymore. And I said, okay, well, that's, kind of weird, but he said that we do most of our hunting in the back, right behind their farm, which was about a mile away. So I, said, okay, well, I heard some weird voices, so I thought maybe it was, some hunters or something. He goes, well, did you see something? I go, no, I didn't really see anything. I just heard it, and I told him what it sounded like. And then we had gotten the farm from his brother who had passed away in an accident. So that's how we ended up with our farm up there. And he said, well, at that point, he goes, well, my brother maybe wasn't crazy after all. And I said, okay, I don't know what that means, but I ended the conversation at that and moved on because it wasn't them. So,
wow. I mean, did it scare you at all? I mean, were you not at this point yet thinking Sasquatch? So, I mean, if it wasn't them, did it had to give you a pause? Like, these
You know,
people
I
can be
was very-
dangerous.
I was very careful up in the woods, and we always kind of kept a gun in the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen a wolf one time, and that was captured by the DNR, and they brought it by and stuff. It was what they said it was a timber wolf at the time, and which was rare around our area. I've never seen any bears up there. I've never seen any mountain lions or anything. So I've seen bobcats was probably the biggest prey other than that wolf, predator. I mean, but I never really got scared too much. But there was a time where I was working in the woods and I saw a big furry leg running through as I was trimming some pine trees. And I didn't know what that was. And actually, that was the first time I got kind of scared. I thought maybe that was a bear. But then I had circled around and I went down to the farm, got the guns. My dad had a pistol and I had a 30-30 rifle. And I went back up in there and I looked around and there was a big footprint. And I thought, well, this must be that hermit guy. And as far as I know, he was really tall. So
Yeah.
from that first sighting. As far as being scared, I really wasn't scared.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I would imagine you're intrigued, but I mean, you're concerned, it sounds like, things that might be on your property, but you weren't really scared.
Right. There was another instance where my dad said, go check on the animals, blah, blah, blah. And that morning I went and checked on them, and there was one of our pigs was missing. And so I walked around the fence line looking around, and I didn't find any hole dug out where it may have gotten out. The fence wasn't open anywhere. That was pretty secure. And I saw some grass in our lawn grass going up towards the woods where it looked like, somebody had walked through there. So I thought, well, somebody may have nabbed one of our pigs and took it up there. And these pigs probably weighed 250 pounds. But I didn't think anybody would have really carried it off. So I talked to my dad and I told him, he said, well, let's go check the fence line. We went and checked the fence line. And he's like, I don't know where it went. So we showed him where the grass was, beat down a little bit, like somebody had walked through up to the woods. We followed it and we started to smell some rotten stench. And we kept working our way back. You could see in the grass where something had walked through there because part of that area of the woods was kind of open because we had a tornado that had gone through there, which I describe in the book and stuff too. And we went all the way back to the back of our woods, and there was a little ledge of rock formation on the back side of our woods, actually just past our fence line. And it reeked like rancid garbage. And I thought, wow, is that guy living here? Because that was,
right.
That hermit guy. I thought if he grabbed the pig, but there was no sign of a dead animal anywhere that made that smell. There was no sign of anything really living there other than it was really bedded down and really stunk. So my dad took the gun and shot it up in the air and then took the bullet casing and set it on there. And of course he yelled out, this is our property, stay off. Like we're talking to the hermit guy.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like a very interesting encounter. I mean, the multiple times that's cool. I mean, but it's also kind of disheartening, I mean, because you got people on your property. And so there you're witnessing is what I found very interesting when you were talking was how they were conversing back and forth with that deer. Like you were hearing strategy real time. You just didn't know what they're talking about, but it sounds like there was a lot of strategy going down in that conversation.
Right. Like they were communicating.
Yeah. Yeah. And that really speaks to their intelligence.
Any animal did that or any, I didn't know anything about Bigfoot at the time. And I learned this off of a show, watching the show, and I was like, wow, that sounded just like what I heard. That's when I really started going, I got to start remembering all these things that happened.
Well, you must
see, Jay, my wife finally said,
Jay, you must be thinking about the Moorhead tapes. The Ron Moorhead tapes, correct?
Yeah.
The Sierra sounds.
Yep.
Yep. I think about because your sighting happened so long ago and you didn't know anything about it. That's really one. It backs up Ron's audio clips, and it really backs up your story. So, anyhow, I'll be quiet here. Go ahead, Jay.
Okay. I mean, I had so many instances that I didn't realize may have been, correlated. There was, there was a time where my two older brothers, myself, and one of my younger brothers were gaming outside the house, and out of that corner of the woods where I'd seen what I thought was a hermit, we heard this huge, like, really gruff grunt. And the grunt was it was thunderous. You could feel it. And my younger brother actually ran in the house because he was scared. And I was like speechless. One of my older brothers said, "What was that?" And then my oldest brother said, "I don't know, but it sounds big."
Yeah,
and
right.
He told my dad. He's like, he didn't seem to really believe us too much. He just said, go about your work and keep going and whatever. I was like, okay, it's hard to get, believed about this stuff.
I mean, you think at some point your dad or somebody would have said, "Hey, let's go find out who this is on our property."
Right. And he asked the neighbor if he thought he had a hermit living back there. And he goes, "No, I don't think so, And he said, "Well, where's the cowboy hat, according to my son?" And he said, "Yeah, nobody wears cowboy hats around here. They're all farmers." Oh. So yeah, putting all this stuff up was rough because I kept thinking about it, and it scared me, like how lucky I was that I didn't get hurt or killed or worse. I mean, I don't know what's worse than killed, but anyway, it was scary.
I mean, you're lucky in a couple ways because you heard things that a lot of Bigfoot researchers would love to hear and be a part of, but they're out there as Bigfoot researchers. You were not. You were out there as a farmer, so you were not ready for that kind of encounter like that. But I mean, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm hearing about the activity, the animals going missing, things like that. I mean, when you grew up and you got older, what turned the switch on going, "Oh, that might have been a Bigfoot"?
I never thought it was a Bigfoot until I saw it.
Ah, gotcha.
And I was about 17, and again, in the book I described where a friend of mine had told me that after one of our baseball games, he said, "Yeah, I ride the snowmobile trail." So I said, "Oh, there's one that goes right behind our woods." He goes, "Yeah." So he said he rides his bike on it. So we were riding our bike, and we rode the snowmobile trail from our ball game in Briggsville. And he went home because he lives about halfway to our house. So I rode that snowmobile trail the rest of the way. I got home, and I thought, well, I'm going to go ride it the other way. And I rode over the top of the hill, and as I crested it, and I came flying up there, and I had, as soon as I topped it, I saw what was a leg, a big hairy leg, and I looked up, and immediately I was hitting the brakes on my bike and sliding sideways, and this thing turned and looked at me with surprise, like, it had an expression on its face. Orangey, yellowish eyes with, real white fur around its face and everything. And, it was probably 7.5 feet at least. I was on my bike and I was looking up at it. And as I slid sideways, I was picking up leaves and dirt and stuff on the snowmobile trail because it's, still summertime. And the thing looked down at the ground where I was picking up the dirt. And I didn't know what it was doing. I just turned and got out of there. And the only thing I could think of was don't break the chain on the bike, because like a couple of weeks earlier, I think I was over at the lakefront,
Mhm.
a big hill, leaving there, and I broke my chain. And so that was in the back of my mind, don't break my chain.
Yeah.
I back down this hill, hit the road, and trust me, I hit it so hard it hurt. And I went flying into the house. I rode the bike right to the back door. And I ran in. My dad was sitting there, and he said, "What the hell's going on?" I said, "I just saw a Bigfoot, Dad. He's right over the top of the hill." And he goes, "Horse shit, there's no such thing as a
Yeah. Yeah.
Bigfoot." And I went, "Oh, no."
Yeah.
I was scared, dude.
Oh, I would imagine you were a kid sliding into first right from a Bigfoot.
Yeah, I think the reason I snuck up on it was nobody really rides the snowmobile trail during the summertime. And we had a cow tied up at the top of the hill. And at the, just over the crest towards the house. And I think she was checking it out, looking over the top of the hill. And I came up from a different direction, upwind, so he couldn't smell me really. And I think I just surprised him, and it was an accident,
Yeah.
And from that point forward, I never heard anything, had anything weird happen, or saw anything. So I think he just took everybody and left.
One great big encounter, and it was done. Actually seeing it. You didn't see it after that.
Right.
What did it look like? Do you remember in your mind? I mean, because everything is slow at those moments. What did it look like? Feature wise.
Time froze for me. Like, I'll never forget it. I'll never, it's just, I was so scared. And every time I think about it, I just dumbfounded. But it had a very human face, but ape-like, thinner lips, real fuzzy, light fuzzy hair around its mouth, and then its chin. It had like real straggly, longer hair. Its head was shaped with a conical shape or whatever, and I could see its ear when it turned towards me, and of course it looked like bodybuilder, like strong.
I would imagine your 17-year-old
hair everywhere.
Yeah, I would imagine your 17-year-old brain
real furry. It was real kind of fine hair.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that, fine hair, because all of the samples of hair that we find seem to be more wispy, actually finer, almost like baby hair.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
For sure.
So were these things clean? Or were they more on the well kept, groomed? Or they were all full of burrs and muddy and matted hair?
I saw it. Part of its body was in the sunlight between the trees.
Okay.
And then it was behind a tree. So, and the way I felt after seeing it was like I had just seen a naked man. So, like hairy naked man. It was like he puts Andre the Giant to shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as being, I didn't stick around too long to find out.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine you did.
But he had a surprised look, not a mean look, not an angry look. Didn't look like he was going to attack me. And I looked right into its eyes, and it was just so surprised that the reason I didn't get too scared afterwards was that, the more I thought about it days later, because the first night I didn't sleep at all, but I kept thinking, this thing did not seem like it wanted to hurt me, because it could have. And throughout time, I find out that it could hurt me many times over. So.
Yeah, if it wanted to hurt you, it probably had every opportunity to do that.
Absolutely.
I mean, not only there, but every time your encounters in the farm.
Right. The scary part is, guys, you don't really know what it was thinking or what it was contemplating. At any point, it could have been contemplating grabbing you, Jay.
Right. Right.
And
Even a
that's
lot of predators, they look kind of docile until they get up to you, and then they attack.
Yeah. I mean, just think of the way a cougar approaches. It stares forever and watches, and then all of a sudden it'll get you, when you look at that one moment, you look weak. So, also, Jay, I don't know if you can hear me real good, but at what point did your family, or did they never accept the reality of these things? Or did they hint that they might have been there, or kind of? Can you go into detail on that, on your parents?
Yeah, I talked to my family since I wrote the book, because I really didn't talk to them too much because they didn't believe me. So they, just kind of shrugged me off and said, "Yeah, whatever."
Mm-hmm.
But and throughout time, I really didn't want to discuss it because I didn't want to deal with the, hey, you're lying about this. You're in this for something else. At the time, I didn't have any proof because I didn't carry a Polaroid camera in my back pocket.
Yeah.
But as far as my family, the first time I really talked to them was since I wrote the book. And, talked to my brother, and he's like, yeah, I've had my oldest brother, he said, yeah, I've had some weird things happen and heard things, but I never saw anything. So I said, well, I saw something really for sure once. I thought it was, something else.
Yeah, for everyone that's listening and maybe just tuning in, we do have a book. He wrote a book. Jay wrote a book. Vernon, can I even talk right now? Adams County Bigfoot, Friend or Beast. You can pick it up over there at Amazon.
There it is. Yep, there it is.
You can grab it, buy it, read it. It is going to be it's a great read. You want to check that out. And I know that it's a really interesting tale so far. I mean, what was it like with these Bigfoot now during the winter time? I mean, big snowfalls, stuff like that. Was there more evidence? I mean, stuff like that.
Our woods were far up on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And, I did most of our wood cutting during the, spring, summer, fall, when we could get up there easily. And I really didn't have too many instances where we went up in the woods during snowfall. So we usually got a lot of snow during the, 60s and 70s for sure.
Sure.
Things have changed since then. But, nothing really during the winter, other than that one time where I was laying on top of our roof of our house, and there was no lights in the woods, but it sounded like somebody was chopping wood. So I thought somebody was chopping wood up there, but they wouldn't need lights. And I'm just like, I don't get it. Whatever. I just shrugged it off and kept looking at the stars,
Sure. Well, yeah, for sure. In the 80s and the 70s, we used to get a lot more snow. I'm from Minnesota, so is Doug. So we're right there with you in that snow area. So we know exactly what that's like. And you're right. It was way snowier back then. It really was.
For sure.
Can you explain where Adams County is exactly in relationship to, obviously the St. Croix River is far east that divides Minnesota and Wisconsin. How far, where would you be in relationship?
We're like almost dead center in the state of Wisconsin.
How far from Baraboo?
Probably within about 35 minutes. We're about 20 minutes, 25 minutes from the Dells, Wisconsin Dells.
It's interesting because me and Avetje saw a Bigfoot, what we believe to be a Bigfoot, literally coming out of a very large stick structure in the forest during deer hunting season, completely black. And we thought, maybe it is a deer hunter that was dressed in black from head to toe.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it looked really huge, and it stepped out of this very big kind of a teepee looking, I don't know, look complex. And of course I'm driving, at 50 miles an hour to get a great look at it. Yvette saw it longer than I did, but that was near, I would say about maybe 30 miles west of Baraboo.
Okay.
So not too far from where you're talking.
Right. That'd be like, 45 minutes, 50 minutes from us.
And this particular thing, whatever it was jet black. I mean, it was black. And did you ever see any black creatures?
What I saw was more of a black, reddish brown kind of color at the time.
Okay.
Real light and, like I said, wispy, but the way the light shone on it, I could see its skin underneath, and it was shiny black.
Very shiny. Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
That is interesting.
Shiny, yeah. I hear that a lot.
So since then, Jay, I mean, have you gone out in the? I mean, has it made you want to become a researcher?
You know, people have asked me, but I keep saying, yeah, I don't know if I want to run into one of those again. I feel lucky already.
Well, yeah.
Situation, so I don't know if I really want to go. Hey, remember me? I'm your buddy. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, one of the interesting things is you're really not involved in the Bigfoot community at all, correct?
No, not at all.
Yeah. That's why this interview is important, because you can't get it anywhere else.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, what made you want to write the book, Jay? I mean, was it to get off your chest? Was it to, I mean, what made you want to put pen to paper?
Yeah, my girlfriend here, Lisa, she wanted to make sure that, because I was telling her the stories, she wanted to know the full story, and she said, you should jot this down. And then COVID hit, and she got sick for about a year. So I was at home taking care of her. And in between, she said, you should just turn this into a book. So I writing. I had all this time. And she said, that sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, I'll throw it out there.
Interesting. Let's see. There's some questions. How long was the head hair?
The head hair, on the cheeks, I would say it was probably about 2 inches long. Around the mouth, right around the mouth, it was probably like 3/4 of an inch. But the top of the head was a little longer, and the side was a little bit shorter, maybe about 2.5 inches, 3 inches, maybe. I didn't measure it.
Did it look at anything like the Patterson creature at all? Nothing?
A lot. It was furry around the mouth, and the hair and everything, and just the way it looked at me, it didn't seem threatened by me at all. Just surprised.
Yeah. How tall you figure? You said what, 7.5 feet tall?
It was, I would say, at least 7.5 feet tall, and the shoulders were probably 3 feet wide, and just no neck, just built like a bodybuilder.
Well, the other thing I wanted to clarify, Jay, is did you see the same creature every time, do you think?
I don't think so, because the first creature I saw was really thin. It was thinner. It was tall, but thinner. And maybe that thing was like 7 feet tall.
Wow.
So, some humans get to be that tall, but I don't know about wandering around in the woods up there.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the odds of running into a basketball player in the middle of the woods?
Right. Exactly.
Very interesting. So, and I somehow I got distracted, Jay. It's my fault.
Okay.
And I know I asked you the question. Did your parents ever hint that they believed any of this?
No.
There was just no belief at all. None.
Right. And my mom said, well, you probably saw a bear. And I remember, like, in the mid-'70s, a Bigfoot show had come on the air, but I never even watched it because they said, no, you don't get to watch that. You got work to do. So I didn't even get to see that.
So your parents would be a kind of no nonsense of farm parents, just no nonsense.
My dad was military all the way.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, no, sir. And he drank and yelled at us a lot, and I just tried to stay away. And so being up in the woods was my safe place, actually.
Well, sure. I remember growing up in that era, and you stayed away from your parents as much as you could.
Exactly.
Because they'd put you to work. If they caught you standing around, it was work time.
That's too funny.
Yep.
Yep.
Exactly.
Get out and mow the lawn or do
You
this.
never said you were bored.
Yeah, never.
to the parents that
Never.
era.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, did you ever see any genitalia? So you knew for sure, if these were females or males.
Yeah, this thing had pecs like chisel pecs.
Okay.
Like like I said, like a bodybuilder, and you could see the sheen underneath.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, it's not mangy, but it looks like there was no hair on the outside of the arm. Like the outside of the bicep.
Mm-hmm.
The lower part of his chest on the outside was kind of worn. So I could see his skin more, but underneath his chest was more hair, and his belly you could see was hair and stuff. I did not see his genitalia, but he didn't look like he had, women's breasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Somebody wanted to know the hands and nail, the actual fingernail color.
Yeah.
Something that
the first, when I looked up, his hand was on the tree looking away from me. So to my left, watching the cow, I think. And his hand was on the tree. And when he turned, his hand opened up like he could catch me if I got close to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw the inside of his hand. So I saw the back hand, which was on the tree, and then the open side of his hand. So, and his hand was grayish black and on the inside.
Did he walk away, or were you the one that ran away?
I didn't hear a word or nothing, a noise, anything.
It's just nothing. It was, yeah.
Looked back for 1 second and took off. And he was just looking at me in surprise.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I'm glad I was going downhill to get away from him.
Did you ever take that trail again?
I walked up there once, and I was loaded for bear. So I had a pistol and a 30-30 on me, and I never went back there. Recently, I went and showed my girlfriend Lisa the farm, and we pulled up next to the trail, which is right there on the road. And I said, "That's where, right over the top of that hill." And she said, "Do you want to walk up there and look?" I said, "Not a chance." Not a chance.
Yeah.
So, would you be willing to show a researcher, the area and give them a tour? Jay?
Absolutely.
Would? Okay.
And
There's one guy in the chat room I know that would come visit you, Paul Guffey.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, that'd be cool to go
Yeah,
there.
it
It's
would
not
be.
that far away, Doug. We should pack it up and go.
Yeah.
Let's go check it out.
The one thing I do want to say is, these areas really aren't that uncommon. I mean, they're just not. They seem to be more prevalent all over. As people are more willing to talk about it, I keep finding out of more and more homesteads that are having regular seasonal activity.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It was kind of confirmation when my neighbor, he was an older gentleman. He said, maybe my brother wasn't crazy after all, when I heard those voices. And I see there's a question about how often did I hear the chatter. It only happened once. Mm-hmm. And it was like 2 times and 2 times, on each side. And then the deer took off and I had never heard anything. So.
Yeah.
Yep. And Dana asks, were there any teeth observed, Jay?
The mouth was closed. I didn't notice any teeth. It just turned and looked, and it kind of like crunched its mouth closed even. So
that's what they do right before they attack. Just kidding.
Oh, great.
yeah, Doug. There you go. Yeah. Right before they lunge, we just want you to know next time, Jay.
Well, like bears, bears will chatter their teeth and put their ears back and bluff charge you. And if they're making noise and they're doing that, they're harmless. They're not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
They sure look scary.
It's just all a show.
But no, we don't really know. Right. I mean, since nobody's lived to tell that I know of, few people I know have been slapped in the back, but that's about it.
Yeah. There's been bluff charges.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, but no one that I've heard of have been flat out attacked.
Right.
Interesting. You didn't notice anything about that. David Ellis had asked about, did the thumb appear to be lower?
Yeah, when I first saw it, I only saw the four fingers because the thumb was behind the tree.
Oh, okay.
And when it turned, it opened its palm. So I really couldn't have, it looked kind of like this. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It really wasn't on my mind to check out the thumb.
Yeah.
Hitchhiking, maybe.
How far? Oh, go ahead. There's
I was gonna say,
yeah.
Jay, during this whole thing, did you ever hear any like wood knocks, rocks thrown? I mean, you mentioned rocks, but did you ever hear any like wood knocks or anything else?
Yeah, there were several times where I thought somebody was cutting wood in the woods.
Yeah.
While I was doing it, because I was chopping wood. I would chop wood just to be up in the woods and kind of stay, away from my dad. So I could have brought it all down and chopped it down in the farm. But then there's one instance where I was cutting wood, and all of a sudden I hear a thunk on the ground, and I thought it was a squirrel throwing nuts at me or something. And then I noticed there was a rock, and so I picked it up, and I'm like, it was a good size, 2-inch diameter rock. And so I'm just like, and then another rock came flying in, and I could hear it going zipping through the leaves of the tree above me, and then landing. So I walked over, I grabbed that as another rock, probably same size about. And I'm just like, you really don't find little rocks laying around up in these woods. They're covered in topsoil and,
Yeah.
Stuff. So I'd be like, I don't know where I'd find rocks up in the woods. But I took one, and I thought it was my brother or somebody throwing. So I turned around and I said, stop throwing rocks, figuring they're going to hit me or something. So I threw it back, and I heard it hit a tree loud and clear, like, and, but then I didn't get any more rocks thrown at me at that time. And, there's times where I heard like a whoop, and I didn't know what that was. I'm like, that sounded weird,
Mm-hmm.
And, there's so many instances that I didn't really recognize.
Yeah. Looking back on it, I'm sure now, like you said, hindsight being 2020, looking back on it, the puzzle pieces are coming together.
Right. Exactly. And just watching these shows, I went, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say anything, I just went, ooh. Kept watching these shows and I was watching the shows. Maybe they're going to find one finally.
Sure.
But like I said, these shows are out there and they're like checking out the area, but they're kind of loud and they're whooping and yelling. And the only reason I saw one really was because I snuck up on it accidentally.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see how many other people have similar experiences in that area that maybe didn't want to talk to you about it, or maybe they just didn't think to talk about it.
And that's what I've been waiting to hear. And I did hear whistles too. My dad used to whistle for us, get in the house,
Yeah.
And I could hear him in the woods. And the woods were thick, they really didn't echo. And there was a time where my dad whistled, what I thought. I went down there, he goes, what are you doing down here? I didn't whistle for you. Get back up there and get to work. So I'm like, okay, somebody else must have whistled.
Right, yeah.
Well, then my dad whistle again, and then I hear it in the back of the woods. And I'm like, it sounded almost like my dad, but it wasn't an echo because I whistled and there was no echo.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it happened a couple times. I was like, it's really weird. So
that is definitely something else. For everyone that's just tuning in, it's Adams County Bigfoot. Friend or Beast is the book that Jay wrote, and Jay Vernon is our author tonight. And you can get the book, of course, up there at Amazon. You can get it digital, you can get paperback, any way you want to. I highly recommend picking the book up. It is really quite the encounter. And plus, it's kind of interesting, or I should say more than kind of interesting, because you're not the kind of person that would be going out to look for Bigfoot. This is an absolute chance encounter on the farm as he was growing up.
Yeah, numerous.
It's quite the story.
Yeah, people are real interested, Jay, in the physical description. People really want to get
as far as the brow was definitely Cro-Magnon.
Yeah.
And, the eyes, they were big, orange, yellowish kind of, the light was hitting right on him. So the sun was low in the sky at the time. So definitely saw his eyes. And like I said, he was surprised.
Okay, let's go back. Let's talk about the eyes a little bit more. So just try to describe them even more in more detail.
Ooh, well, I'm looking at maybe a 2-3 second look.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, like I said, they were large, orangish, yellowish color. You know, it turned and looked at me and reared its head back when I was kicking up the dirt. And I saw that, you know, it was just in surprise. You know, as far as, you know, describing the eyes any more than that, you know, couldn't tell you anymore. I didn't stick around that long.
But you had mentioned the sun was like heading right into the eyes.
Yeah.
So that was changing. So you were actually like a optometrist, you know, aims that bright light in your eyes. So you were really seeing into their eyes deep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's interesting.
He didn't look like he was going to hurt me.
Yeah.
Thought about it.
The eyes are the windows of the soul, my friend, and you didn't get the vibe that he was had an inclination to attack you.
I don't know.
You know, because you can usually tell. You know, you look at someone's face, you can tell the kind of mood they're in. And it sounds like he was just as stunned as you were, and
Exactly.
he must not have had any interest in you as something to grab. Otherwise, he would have.
Do you think
Right.
do you think there's ever been any post-traumatic stress syndrome, Jay? I mean, where you're like you go into the woods, you're afraid. Is there any effects it's had on you?
Yeah, it took me a while to go back into the woods. Like I said, I always kept guns on me.
Yeah.
From that point forward, when I was working on the farm, it was scary. I found trees get cut down around the edge of the woods versus going into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it affected me for sure.
And did you grow up to become a hunter or no?
You know, I went hunting once, and like I said, in the book there's a story about that, one of the chapters, first time hunting, and I didn't see anything, but I had started walking up the hill and towards the woods. You know, I wasn't afraid. It was pitch black, like 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. You know, it doesn't get light till like 7 o'clock at that time of year in November.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was walking up, and all of a sudden I heard something running my way, coming from the edge of the woods by the pines area. And all of a sudden I got whaled in right in the legs, knocked me down. It was our dog, which our dogs usually don't go up in the woods because you don't want to go up there. You know, hunters will shoot your dog on sight if they see your dog in the woods, especially if it's chasing a deer. So we always try to keep our dogs out of the woods. But I went, what is going on? And I yelled at the dog to go home, but I heard something behind it going, and then I heard going, like it was stopping. And then I heard it run away. And I thought, maybe it's a deer chasing it, because it was like, ta-doom, ta-doom, ta-doom. But then after an unsuccessful hunt, I walked around back up through the woods, and I came over to the top of the hill, and I could see in that tall grass again where something had been gone through there. And so I followed it, and I could see where it stopped, and it had kind of, left its tracks, and there was bare footprints, large ones, in the dirt, because it's very sandy around there. So the soil is pretty soft. Yeah. And I went, it must have been that hermit. So
okay. All right, so back up a bit. So you found good footprints.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Thinking it was a hermit.
Yeah.
The darn hermit again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's interesting because that's one of the signs I look for is an authentic, sighting. When people argue with me and go, no, it was a bear, but it was walking upright. No, it wasn't a Bigfoot. It was definitely a bear. they'll argue with you on what
Yeah.
they saw, thinking it was a person or whatever. But they're they have some doubts. But yeah, it's interesting.
Do your family?
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, but does your family still live on the farm today?
My brother, that's 4 years older, him and his wife live there still.
And since the book came out, has he mentioned going, we still have some stuff going on?
I haven't talked to him.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
For a couple of years after the sighting, almost. So.
Yeah. Well, you might want to do that. You might want to touch base with him and give him a laundry list of all the things that maybe he might hear or experience there.
Yeah.
Right, for sure. I know since then they've seen bears and mountain lions in the area. So.
Are you guys close? Are you and your brother close?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I would have a frank conversation with him and give him a copy of your book.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
He does know you wrote the book, right?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say, he's not going to tune in tonight and going, sons of guns, what are you doing?
What opinions did he have, Jay? What opinions?
I really haven't talked to him that much. We really just released the book like a couple of weeks ago or so. So
yeah.
Well, you need to touch base. I want to hear what your brother has to say.
That would be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I did talk to my oldest brother, and he said, yeah, when we moved up there, I saw some weird things and heard some things, but never saw a Bigfoot. But things were weird sometimes.
Now, you talk about animals going missing. Did you have a barn that it went into, or was that the outdoor animals that would go after? What were those circumstances like?
We had an outdoor pen with it in between the corn crib. There was a center area where they had shelter and stuff. But yeah, this was out, away from the barn. We had a barn, but it burned down, and that's in the book as well. When the barn burned down, because a weird thing happened that night. When the barn was burning, the fire department, was there spraying it and stuff. And from the area where I had ended up seeing the Bigfoot at the top of the hill, one of the firefighters the next morning was telling my dad, he goes, oh, must have woke up the neighbors back there because I could see a couple people standing up there at the edge of the woods watching. So that might have been our friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Paul Guffey asks, it's one of the first questions I always ask, how far was the nearest creek, river, lake, ponds, swamps?
On the backside of these woods, probably half a mile. It's very marshy and very wildlife and everything. So the whole center of our block is very woodsy. And then the backside is marshy. And then if you go across the street from us at the bottom of this field, probably a 25-acre field, it had a marsh area at the bottom. And there was an instance that I don't even write about in the book, and my brother and I talked about it, my oldest brother, and because talking to him reminded me of, I thought there was like this guy sprinting across the field at the bottom of the field. And I thought, well, what could that be? So we got on our mini bike, him and I, and rode down there. And we looked over, and it's a water, it's the drainage between fields there. Because, like I said, it's marshy in that area. And it goes for, probably a mile. And it's very reedy and, lots of vegetation on it, around it. We got there, and you could see in the water, which was probably about 3.5 feet deep of water. And it had been disturbed where the algae had been swirled up, and then you could see where something had gotten out of the water. But this, whatever it was hauling. It was running through the water. And I thought it was probably like a 5-foot guy, 6-foot guy, maybe. Somebody just sprinting across the bottom of the field. He was fast. I'm like, that guy is moving. So, but when we got down there, I'm realizing that whatever it was in the water, which was, 2 feet below the field level. So they were running through water and mud.
Mm-hmm.
So how close would that marsh be to your farm, or where I should say where your sightings happened?
Yeah, from the sighting, I'd say within 300 yards.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a point I just want to make. Most sightings happen within 500 yards of some water source, which is so interesting. I mean, Bigfoot, Jay, it's a geographic problem. It's not a demographic problem. It's very geographic. It's extremely specific to woods, water, and hills. If you have 3 of those ingredients, you have a much better chance of having a sighting. If you have 2, you do have a chance, but never where there's just 1 usually. Very seldom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. So what crops or food sources were grown on the farms? Were there fruit trees, apple trees, corn?
Alfalfa, and we had apple trees, and there was even a couple apple trees up in our woods. So,
okay.
Whether it had been part of, somebody took care of them and, up in the woods or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely had apple trees in the area.
Sure. Yeah, probably those wild apple trees.
Yep.
I've seen those in Wisconsin when I've been deer hunting here and there.
Yeah,
I've
very
seen that end.
Yep.
Did you ever have any animals gone? Chickens,
Just that one
calves?
pig that I know of for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only time.
Jay,
Say that one more time, Jay.
We had the pig that was gone that one time, and that was it.
Oh, you did? Okay. How big was this pig?
I would say 250, 300 pounds maybe.
Yeah, I've heard numerous stories of people seeing these things grab pigs and throw them over their shoulder.
Oh yeah, just
kill them and
big
walk
pigs,
away.
too.
Yep, big ones. Yep. It's really interesting. It really is.
Any stench, Jay? Do they smell?
Yeah, it was very rancid whenever I smelled something. Because there was times I'm like, there must be a dead animal, like roadkill, but it's in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking around expecting to find a carcass of a dead deer with maggots and stuff.
Okay.
Rancid nastiness. But I couldn't find carcasses,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where that smell's coming from, but several times.
Yeah, I've smelt that smell so many times, and it's you'll go through an area, there's nothing. The air is just perfectly fresh. And then you'll come back through there an hour later, and you get blasted.
Yeah, I get that.
With this putrid, rotten flesh smell.
Jay, did you ever feel when you were in close proximity, and I don't mean the sighting, but I mean when you'd hear like the chatter or you hear did you ever feel anxious? Like, a lot of anxiety? Like almost like you're getting zapped by something?
My dad was a pretty hard guy, so I kind of took things in stride that were, even semi-threatening at times.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of cool under pressure. So,
and the reason why
I think, Joe, what Jay's trying to say is he was only afraid of his father. That was it.
That was it. Nothing else in life.
Could have been anything. He just his dad.
at the time.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, gotcha. I was just kind of curious if you would, because there's a working theory amongst Bigfoot researchers, and it's starting to gain a lot of traction with infrasound. And people will mention feeling anxious or sick, or almost like they were coming in close contact, just didn't feel right. And a lot of people will mention anxiety, feeling like I need to get out of here, that kind of feeling, stuff like that. I was curious if you ever felt that way.
I'm a real anxious person, but I was always been very patient. But as far as, there's a couple times where I was up in the woods and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to lose my cookie.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know anything at the time.
Yeah.
So it could be anything at that point, but, I didn't know.
How far away do you live from this particular place right now, Jay?
I live down on the south side of Milwaukee area in the suburb of Franklin.
So you're quite a ways away, 100 miles or more.
Yeah, southeast end of the state.
It's about 2 hours.
2 hours. Yep. Very interesting.
You go.
Very
I
interesting.
suppose you don't. Do you go there often, Jay, or is it just like maybe you'll pop in for
Much,
you
you
know?
know, my mom passed away, a few years ago, and ever since then, it's just been busy for me. And
Yeah.
I've, right now we're actually packing up to move, head to Arizona.
Heading to Arizona.
Yeah,
There you go. Get out of the winter, right?
yeah. I guess they're telling me to go to the Muggium Rim. Go find Bigfoot down there. I said I'll pass.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. See, so I was going to ask you something here, and I pushed my limits, Joel. I'm too tired.
See that? Look at you. You're just.
I'm laid back now.
It'll,
I'm just
it'll
like,
come to you, Doug. It'll
yeah.
come to you.
Yep. God, what was I going to ask? Oh, did you ever come to a conclusion what you think they are? What do you think, Jay?
Oh, wow. Kind of like I'm a factual person, so I just think there's some kind of a primate. I would imagine it looked very apish, but very human too. Like somehow there's a cross there. And after hearing so many, and I'd say there was one person that was totally interested in. Said you need to talk to my dad. And this is a Native American from the Dells. And so I talked to his dad, and he said, yeah, those are the forest people. And I said, oh, okay. Have you seen one? He said, we haven't seen many, but it's been over centuries that we know of them. So, and he said, just respect them and leave them alone, and they'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
So they've been coexisting with the forest people for centuries, for
Right.
generations. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Paul Guppy'd like to know, Jay, did you ever try to gift anything to the Bigfoot, or did you ever find any sticks in odd places on the farm?
Yeah, what I was trying to do was gift the hermit. So I was putting stuff on a tree stump up there. I was trying to give him food after the pig was missing. I thought he needed food. And usually after breakfast, there was my mom made biscuits and stuff every day. So I would sneak out a couple biscuits, throw some butter on and jam maybe sometimes. But I would put it in a bag, and everything would be gone. So I assumed he was taking it. And then after the sighting, I was putting stuff up there. And then what I would find is the bag chewed up and the food gone, but the bag is all over the ground, chewed up.
Okay.
So to me, I thought it was gifting the hermit.
Yeah, the hermit. And yeah. Huh. Dang.
So, yeah. Only if buts or whats if I knew,
Yeah. Hindsight being 2020, you might have done things differently, but like you said, you're working under the impression it was a human being living on your property.
Right. That's what we thought. Or the neighbor's property.
Say, Alex, could you find a Google map of Adams County, Wisconsin, and throw it up on the screen? I'm curious.
Yeah, sure. You guys keep talking. I'll find it.
Okay.
Sure. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, I'm curious what this whole thing, getting you on, I really wanted to read your book before we had you on, but it just didn't happen. It's been too crazy.
I appreciate being able to come on here and talk about it.
No, it's
yeah, we're really pleased to have you.
Yeah,
Jay.
It's an awesome story, Jay, only because one thing I did know, just hearing from Alex, that the story really seems to come from your heart, versus somebody who's just looking for attention.
Right.
Really seems like a sincere book.
It. And then Lisa told me, check it out.
Yeah.
And see if you can publish it.
So is Adams County the one right in the middle there, Alex?
Yep. It's a light colored one.
Yeah. Yep. And you can see the water on the
see that.
The left side. There's a lot of water, certainly plenty of forest.
Yeah, we're down in the bottom of it.
Yep. And Wisconsin, like Minnesota, is known for all of its creeks.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so where would you be? Towards the bottom?
Yep, right towards the bottom there.
You would be towards the so you're near the Wisconsin
Right.
Dells.
Yep,
Correct?
about 13 miles from the Dells.
Yeah, because
Okay.
that's where we were headed when we had our sighting. We were actually on 94 or 90, I guess they call it 90. And we were
Maybe that's
driving
where
on
you moved
90. Yep. Okay, so that river, what's the name of the river there that comes out of the lake?
There's the Wisconsin River.
I don't have
Yeah.
the
There's
Wisconsin
Fox
River.
that comes around.
So
Yeah.
there's your major corridor. So if they would leave in the winter or in the fall, they would just travel down that corridor, which
Yeah.
explains how they would end up in Adams County. Is literally that river. Becomes a very amazing travel corridor. Through the rivers, they can avoid cities, towns, roads, everything.
Yep.
Well, it's almost like their roads, their highways.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, they're
No,
it's path of least resistance. Is
It's
along
it's
the
always
bank.
more interesting to hear the person's story and then look at the map after they've told you the whole story, and then you look at the map and you go, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Because you can see the rivers traveling right to where his sighting was.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I'm curious when people may come out of this and say, "Hey, I think I saw what you saw," or we're close to you and we've seen stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
I was going to
Yeah.
say too, in the future, people will be, looking at this for forever. Please post in the comments if you've had any sightings in the Wisconsin Dells area, anywhere near Adams County, or the Wisconsin River.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to know.
Yeah.
for sure.
So whether it's a year from now or 5 years, post your comments.
Yeah, definitely. We'll keep that open, and we'll keep tabs on this to see how
Yeah.
many people are having sightings in that area.
Yeah, there's no doubt that river is the corridor. No doubt.
Right, Chris Powers. He says if I ever saw any strange fist-sized rock piles placed off game trails.
Mhm.
There was an instance where I had found some rocks on a log, just sitting on the log. So I kicked them off at the time and cut the log up. So not knowing any better.
I believe, and certainly Paul Guffey, one of the researchers that's in the chat room here, he's sent me tons of photos he's found near the Minnesota River. Same thing. It's like either a signal, I would imagine, to more of their kind.
Well, is it kind of like road maps,
it could be
like
a
road
turn,
signs,
Yeah.
for the rest of them.
Yep, this is where Joel lives.
That's right.
Yeah.
Up there by Duluth there. Yep, right there. That's where he lives.
So one of the questions too is, have you ever had your house? Would you ever sleep at night and you had your house banged?
No, I never noticed anything like that.
Okay.
But you never know.
You never had anything look in the windows or?
Not that I'm aware of, no. But after I saw it, that's all I did was stare at the window that night.
Not well, I bet.
I'm right through here.
Yeah. Did you have curtains on your windows?
We did, and I kept them closed.
Good for you.
Well, I can't say I blame the man.
I found the corner away from the window.
Dana goes, has there ever been any animals up in the trees? I guess he's referring to dead ones.
Oh, no, I never saw any dead animals in the trees. And we didn't find too many dead carcasses, like I said, in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple. But, they had been there for a while and no idea what happened.
Sure.
Any dead rabbits, like with the heads removed, or birds with the heads removed?
Yeah, like stash spots is what Doug's saying, for later kind of animals, stuff like that.
No, they'll leave those. No, they'll leave those, Joel, at farms. Or if people live in a cabin and they end up gifting them, or they take something. A lot of times they'll leave a dead rabbit with a head, kind of.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Clean
You
and
are
ready.
right. I was thinking mountain lions for some reason.
Well, I mean, once again, we don't know what's leaving these animals, but what we do know is they're dead and there's no head.
Yeah.
It's
never
not
experienced
usually
that.
the part a cougar is going to eat is the head of a rabbit. It's not usually.
Right.
So there you are. You've experienced all this, and and you don't have any interest in going back in the woods, which I, each their own kind of thing. But is there just a little bit of you, Jay? Just a little bit, with the right circumstances, the right group of people, would you go back in?
Yeah, I'll need the Marines. Fully loaded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it. I mean, in my opinion, this animal would tear apart the battalion of men.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
enough. Good enough, Jay.
There's a question, or there's the comment, Jay, in the comments from Chris Bowers, who says using the rocks to knock down game, such as deer and smaller game animals. He said he's had taken several pictures, of rock piles just like that, which are used for hunting.
Maybe they're using them to throw at the animals to kill.
Yep, for hunting. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
So that's where those rocks. It might have been an ambush point.
Nice.
Yeah. Who knows?
Donna, I think that's the name. I think that's a screen name. I don't want to misspell or misspeak here. Great comment. Jay, do you have any questions for us? I mean, do you have any Bigfoot questions?
Oh, wow. It's, I'm just going off what I experienced, and, maybe some of these things that I experienced and explained in the book,
Mm-hmm.
they could be anything, but I only put in there what I thought might really be connected to what I ended up seeing.
Yeah.
So, but as far as questions, I really don't have an interest in going to find this guy again. So.
Do you watch a lot of the Bigfoot shows or podcasts and those kinds of things, Jay?
I started watching them because I'm like, ooh, maybe they're going to give me some information, and
Right.
there'll be a sighting, and there'll be some real proof, and I'll be, confirmed. But it's like this toll on you when you're watching this. You're like, they're not going to find anything if they keep yelling and stuff. I think,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but well, I guess more of my question was: are you obsessed at getting more information on the topic?
I'd like to know, but yeah, as far as more information, yeah, I've watched shows to learn more and to understand more because, like I said, I grew up not understanding any of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And putting it all together later.
And back when this was happening to you, there was not a lot of media like there is today about Bigfoot either. You had the one show you mentioned, but outside that, you're right. There was not a ton on TV at that point.
No.
Not like today.
Yeah, I never saw a Bigfoot show until I was 30 something.
Mm-hmm.
And what was your first Bigfoot show?
Ooh, I think it was Finding Bigfoot, maybe, or Monster Quest.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it gets crazy. Oh, by the way, Joel, you called Dana.
I did. I caught myself. It's Dan, and I apologize to Dan, by the way. And I don't want to misspeak anyone's name. So
I've known Dana for 22 years.
Very cool.
He studies reptiles.
Oh, awesome.
He's a very good field guy. He's
I'd like to have him on the show to talk about reptiles one of these days.
Yep.
Did you ever hear about the one where the lady was sleeping with the snake and the guy tells her?
We'll get Dana. We'll get him on, but you got to promise not to call him Donna.
Well, I won't call him Donna. Okay. I won't. I think I said Dana.
Yeah, we actually should get him on.
We should. My gosh, yes.
He's knowledgeable. He was an investigator for the BFRO for many years.
Oh, very, very cool. But anyhow, Jay, again, the book is awesome. It's out there. People can buy it. I definitely think everyone should go ahead and get your book and a lot of great stuff. I mean, we've covered a lot of ground. Adams County Bigfoot, Friend or Beast. That's the book. And we're discussing his encounters, Jay's encounters, on this farm that he grew up on in Wisconsin. And it is just getting more and more in depth as we go. But the chance encounter on the trail is what changed everything for you, Jay. Were you more scared? Obviously, you were more scared after the encounter, right, Jay? I mean, that was
exactly.
come to Jesus moment.
scared
Like, oh my
until
God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did after that encounter, and because you still to live on the farm, did you want to go in the woods at that point, or did you stay close to the house?
I
After
stayed
that
close
encounter?
to the house. I was cutting trees on the edge of the woods that
Mhm.
were lining the field and all, versus going into the woods.
Yeah, yeah. So it changed you, even to this day. It sounds like.
Sure.
Yeah, I definitely give you high marks for just really being sincere. I really do, Jay.
Thank you.
You're a great witness, and it's witnesses like you that I wouldn't say you're rare by any means, but when they do come around, you really need to try to get into what they really saw. You want to take your time with them. Don't just ask them a few questions and push them out the door, because they're valuable.
Mm-hmm.
You're very valuable. And don't underestimate the information, that you can give the community, who are desperate for it too, even though we've been, researching the topic forever. You connect dots. Trust me, there's dots that connect. With every witness can help connect our dots.
Right, and that's when I connected all the dots, was just by watching the shows later.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't think I would have connected everything that happened.
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, well,
Sure. Sharing information is important.
I would love to talk to your neighbors. I mean, other people in the area, just to say, ask and find out if they've had similar sightings or similar activity.
Right. I'm curious. I'm sure some of my neighbors are listening, family.
Yeah.
And, it'll be interesting to get this all out in the open.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, I think it's good, because you got to realize, and to all of your family members, let me say this: if this thing was just fictitious and just a bunch of BS, like Amy Boo was in here, and she runs Zoo Book, which is really a big group of scientists that get together every other Thursday just to discuss this topic, because they know it's not going away. They know that, and many of them are involved in the Zoo Book because they've had their own experience, which is really interesting. So as time goes on, more and more scientists are going to be involved. There's no doubt.
Right. I see a question there. It says, do you think Bigfoot could be an alien?
Could be.
I'm not so sure about that. But I would need proof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do know some people think that they're, either dimensional or whatever, aliens or God knows what. And, I hate to combine two mysteries to try to solve one.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because you'll end up combining 3 or 4.
Yeah, it never ends.
No.
We have to just go on the fact they're probably flesh and blood. And
I would absolutely think so.
Amy's in the chat room, and she's just done an amazing, probably, I really can't think of a lot of people that have done more for Bigfooting than she has, because of her constantly, there she is up on the screen, constantly bringing scientists together and having creating this ingenious platform for them to meet anonymously, where we don't, in some cases, we don't even know their names, but we know they have a degree. They're an academic. And so it's people like Amy, Jay, that are going to someday vindicate you.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
It's a burden otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It actually is a burden. I feel it once in a while too. You'll be at a party, with a bunch of people, and someone will go, "What do you do?" And you don't know whether to just keep your damn mouth shut. And
Yeah, right.
go, "Well, I'm an entrepreneur."
It's kind of liberating, though, Jay. Right, to have the book out there. It's liberating. It's off your chest. You don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's a possibility that this might relieve my tension of thinking about it, and putting it out there is it's a big relief. So, until somebody starts questioning me and calling me a liar and all that.
Well, there's always going to be that heckler in the crowd, right? But for yourself that it's true, and you don't need to convince anyone else.
Yeah, I would have never brought it up if I didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Yep. Oh, I want to say I see Michael Hexum is in there. He's a very devoted researcher here in Minnesota, and man, he's like the ultimate field guy.
Yeah, yeah. Mike is a hell of a guy.
Yep, you know Michael. Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's a friend of mine, and he's a friend of yours too, Doug. And,
Well-
and yeah, he's a hell of a researcher.
Yeah, he's. I just know how hard that he works in the summer.
Oh, they
Out in the
all
field.
do. I mean, we have a great group of people that listen to the show, very dedicated folks, and you guys are what makes the show go, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Really.
So the ultimate, Jay, would be to maybe hook up with a couple of people that are researchers, just to talk to, just to hang out with, just to milk their brain, and maybe even go out in the woods with them at times. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, this is a mystery, Jay. It's getting fueled every day. Hundreds and hundreds of
Mhm.
sightings every week, all over the country. 1% of people are reporting these sightings.
Yeah.
And the reason they're not reporting is because nobody wants to talk about it. But I
Mhm.
can tell you, this mystery is not going away, guys.
It's not as secretive as it once was. I mean, people are more open now, Doug.
Right.
Thanks to shows like yours and Finding
Yeah, let's
Bigfoot
hope.
and other things out there. I know back in the back when Jay was having the sightings, to mention it openly, they would have looked at you a little bit funny once in a while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can only imagine if he would have came forward in a small community or to his classmates. You never mentioned anything, Jay, to your classmates, I take it?
I did, and they laughed at me.
Yeah.
And I did mention it to a classmate who was Native American, and he's the person that told me to go talk to his dad.
Mm.
And he told me about the woods people. So
At least the classmate turned you on to his dad, though, and it kind of gave
that was
you
perfect.
someone to talk to.
yeah, they were very open to it, and it's part of their belief system. So he said they got totem poles with the brother in the woods.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You realize, Jay, when somebody like you took the time to write a book, come forward, tell your story, go on podcasts, talk to people, you've elevated the topic also. You understand? No doubt scientists will see this, and it might be you. You might be the one witness that makes their light bulb go off. So don't underestimate how important it is. And I know you're going to go on Sasquatch Odyssey at some point soon, correct?
Yeah,
And hopefully you'll get your mic working.
exactly.
I can't believe Alex even thought of what you guys did to pull this off, but I'm glad he did.
Right.
It really
Yeah.
wasn't that bad. Wasn't that?
No, it's working out just fine. And
Yeah. Good job, Alex.
yeah,
The
Alex.
alien ship was perfect.
Yeah. What time we have? We have what?
Got 4 minutes.
4
left.
minutes left. What do you want to say, Jay, to the world? What do you want to say?
Be open-minded. Not everybody's telling the truth, I'm sure, but some people are looking for attention. But I think most people are very serious about this and just follow the word. And like you guys said, some of these information that people are putting out there, a little bit might connect the dot with somebody else
Mhm.
and be beneficial in the long run. So,
Yeah.
I think, like Doug had said, and other people had said, people like you add that next piece of the puzzle.
See,
And-
William Nighthawk said, "Good for you, Jay. Proud of you."
thank you.
Yeah.
Well, until next time, guys, we gotta get out of here, Doug.
No, we actually don't. We still have 3 minutes. That's our
Do
3-minute
we?
warning.
I heard the music.
That's the 3-minute warning.
3 minute. I'm getting used to this whole new format.
Yeah, this is all new, Joel.
See, now I'm a face for radio is the thing, Doug.
Oh my
I've been up
God.
behind the mic for radio for
we all have
years.
faces for radio. Yeah, but I do think people enjoy, connecting with people,
Yeah.
with their faces and stuff. And yeah, it can be hard, being live like this. Things can happen. Things can go wrong. Weird things can happen. Lights can fall. God knows. You can spill your water on your keyboard.
Well, you could, but really, I want to thank Jay for coming on.
Yeah.
Jay is a
Thank you
class
guys
act.
for allowing me to be on.
And we got a couple more minutes, so let's go ahead and let's plug the book again.
Yeah.
Go buy this book. Definitely want to do this. If you have a Bigfooter in your life that you're looking for something to buy them, it'd be a great gift as well. It's Adams County Bigfoot, Friend or Beast is what it's called. And it's Jay Vernon is our author, and he took the time to write this book, and it chronicles his time on the Wisconsin farm in the 70s and the 80s. And
So I had one question. Is there any way people can contact you through Facebook or somewhere like that?
Yeah. It's Jay Vernon on Facebook, on Instagram.
Okay.
You guys can always hand out my number if somebody wants to get a hold of me. Any researchers.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
Yeah. We might hold you to go into that Wisconsin. We might hold you to that, Jay. Who knows?
Yeah, it's 7 a.m.
Because I would like to get out there.
I'm looking at your wall. Is this? Tell me about your wall. It's amazing.
Oh,
Behind you.
This is the house we're selling, and I did a barn board wall.
Oh, it's so cool.
Gotcha.
Goes around the house. And,
Sure.
That looks absolutely amazing.
That is very
I love
amazing. But now it's no longer the 3-minute warning. We really do have to get out of here.
Okay.
Until
Well,
next time, guys.
Good night. Good night, Joel. Good night, Alex.
Good night, everybody that
Good night,
listened.
Jay.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
And all the people that
Jay
tuned
Vernon,
in.
thank you, sir, for sharing your tale tonight with us.
And we never mentioned Kevin Morrison. I want to mention Kevin. He said a lot of nice comments. And Wizard.
Yep. There were a lot of great folks.
A lot of nice stuff. Texas.
And
Jack.
Alex Highcheck, thank you so much for producing
thanks,
this thing, making this thing go, and everybody else that's tuning in.
And we'll be back next Wednesday with another Bigfoot guest.
We will. Take care of each other. Love each other, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.